Duchovny, King, and Burton say sci-fi for 500, plus Quantum Leap invades L.A. Next on The Buzz. He's back, and Harlan Ellison is as opinionated as ever. Some of sci-fi, horror, and fantasy's biggest names duke it out on Celebrity Jeopardy. The fans won't let Quantum Leap die. And the movie director whose death was as horrifying as his films. Oh my gosh, thank you for joining us here in Sci-Fi Central. Mike Jarek here. A quick word to you viewers who have found us here on Friday night. Thank you for joining us. And for the regulars of Sci-Fi Buzz, I love you. Now a quick word to the brass at the Sci-Fi Channel. Thanks so much for scheduling Sci-Fi Buzz against the X-Files here on the West Coast. We will survive because of our crack staff, including producers like Susan Hyman. Susan, come on up here. Quit pretending to talk to Dave and come on up here.
Just doing my job.
Now, because you are the best and you are the brightest producer.
Of course.
Oh, everybody's giving us dirty looks. We sent you to the Jeopardy shoot. Why would we cover Jeopardy?
I know it's unusual. It doesn't sound like the type of story we would normally do, but they were having Celebrity Jeopardy, and Stephen King was playing, David Duchovny was playing in one game. They were playing each other. Two masters.
All right, calm down.
Next game we had LeVar Burton. They were playing all kinds of, you know, non-genre related underlings. We don't need to go into that. But
what?
Well, it was just really exciting.
Maybe we should show it.
Okay, let's
Should
go.
I put the intro in the form of a question?
Yeah.
No.
No, come on, do it.
No.
Oh.
No, I'm too embarrassed. Just watch.
The answer is Isaac Asimov.
Well, look who we've got here, guys. 3 years it took. We've got Stephen King. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, 3 years in the making.
Now, how does it feel to be on the Sci-Fi Channel?
It feels so good that I can't even begin to tell you how good it feels. After all those years I spent crashed out in my chair watching Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and Tales from the Dark Side on Sci-Fi Channel, here I am, and I'll tell you what, guys, this is pretty damn special. Buzzed in the USA.
Now, have you sized up the competition here?
I have.
And what do you think?
I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be really tough. They actually put smart people on the program with me. I wanted to get on the program with like Lassie and Flipper, and Lassie could say, ruff, 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 and Alex Trebek would say, I'm sorry, Lassie, you didn't put your answer in the form of a question. Well done, Lynn. Well done.
Thanks, Stephen. Your turn next.
Thank you, Lynn. I'll probably stiff out on the program, but Jeopardy is a program for people like me. I wrote a story that was kind of a Jeopardy-oriented story that's in Nightmares and Dreamscapes called The Moving Finger. And I'm like one of these guys who, I've forgotten the Pythagorean theorem. I've forgotten the major countries of Africa, but I can still remember, you know, who wrote the Book of Love and all
Trivial
that stuff.
Pursuit.
Yeah, basically, you know, I have a memory for shit.
That's, oh.
Yeah, you'll have to bleep that.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, good. We get to bleep Stephen King.
Mode of transportation in Jingle Bells. They're going to go back to royalty and hit it?
What is a Learjet?
Is it fun for you to be able to do these kinds of things? I mean, your visibility has risen. You're on Celebrity Jeopardy. I mean, you are a celebrity. How does all that feel?
Well, that's, it's fun to be able to play Jeopardy. Celebrity Jeopardy is not as much fun because you don't get to keep the money that you win. Giving her hints and stuff. He's spending all his time with her. I don't have any idea how to play. Nobody's talking to me.
And what happens that light
I'm going to leave now.
Have you sized up the competition? You got like the King of Horror. You've got Georgie Girl. What do you think?
Well, I'm a little disappointed because Stephen's a writer, so he's intelligent. So that disappoints me right off. And Lynn sounds intelligent because she has a British accent, so I'm feeling a little intimidated.
But
right
you're the
now.
one with the Ivy League degree, so I think they're
but I'm
intimidated.
just an actor.
And a distinguished actor and host of the Emmy-winning children's program, Reading Rainbow, LeVar Burton.
Are you nervous? I want to know.
I don't think it's possible to be a contestant on Jeopardy and not be nervous, you know? I think the only way to not be nervous and do Jeopardy is to be dead.
LeVar,
what is hot under the collar.
Now, tell me, is Star Trek still a part of your life, or are you sort of going on to other things? I know the movie is in the works for the new one.
The next Star Trek movie is in the works. Also, I'm directing episodes of Deep Space Nine and Voyager, so I stay connected to the Star Trek universe in that way.
I don't see a lot of science fiction categories. You think maybe we can talk to the writers about adding a couple?
Well, science fiction is a great category, but you have to realize that it is a special niche that some people have moved into. It's not in the broad scheme of things as popular as some other areas. And as a result, it makes it more difficult for us to include it as a category because we're really narrowing the confines of our clues.
Watch Sci-Fi Channel or we'll kill you. Watch Sci-Fi Channel or we'll kill you.
Okay, Susan, who won the game there between Duchovny and King?
Sorry, Mike, I've been sworn to secrecy.
No, come on.
No, can't tell you.
What are the odds of them watching right now?
You've got, well, good odds.
Come on, who won?
He watches the show.
Okay, fine.
You'll have to watch, I think it's airing all week, the 6th through the 10th, but I think the games we want to concentrate on are airing Monday and Tuesday night, the 6th and 7th.
I'll be watching. Cool story.
Thanks.
Suze. Now, speaking of Jeopardy, a big fan of Jeopardy, our very own commentator here on The Buzz, Harlan Ellison. And speaking of Harlan, watch closely now. This is a new and improved Harlan this season. He's fresh from the operating table.
Here I am, back for a 3rd season here on the network whose name will never pass my lips. Yes, the name is Harlan Ellison, and these are commentaries on the passing scene. And I want to tell you that I stand before you today as an example of the wonders of modern science. About 6 months ago, I began to get a fogginess in my right eye called a cataract. Even 20 years ago, if you'd had a cataract, all of a sudden you would wind up being a creature that sat at home and people had to read to him. Or you would be out on a street corner with a tin cup and a dead parrot on your shoulder going, "Arg." But in fact, I had the wonders of a cataract operation. I had cataract surgery just 1 week before you're seeing me here. We offer you the new Marvel supervillain, Soup Strainer Face. Let me tell you about this. The operation takes about an hour. They go inside with a machine, ain't a laser. They go inside with a machine, they break up the cataract, they suck it out, and then they put in an intraocular lens. You don't even feel it. Twilight sleep. And the nice thing about it, when they got me on the table up at UCLA at the Jules Stein Institute, I discovered that the 2 guys who were doing the anesthesia were fans of mine. One liked my books, the other one liked what I do on Babylon 5. And so, through the miracle and the wonders of a modern science and modern medicine, I appear before you, even spunkier and meaner than before, ready to go into the 3rd season and tell you all sorts of wonderful things. Let me tell you what's happened since you've been gone. Remember, I would kvetch and geschrei about the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America not giving the Grand Master Award out to people who were getting on in years and who were not well. Well, while they were dickering and dawdling, John Brunner died without getting one, and Avram Davidson died without getting one, and Robert Bloch died without getting one, and sadly, for those of you who don't know, Roger Zelazny died without getting one. But what does it matter? There are little ants who go out on the internet every night and say, "We mustn't give out this award, it will devalue it," as opposed to devaluing it by not giving it to people who deserve it. The 8 master writers that we discussed last season, among whom were Robert Sheckley and Kate Wilhelm and Paul Anderson and A.E. Van Vogt and a number of others, they still have not gotten it. Now, SFFWA is going to say, well, we've done something. We're now going to give it out every year instead of only 7 times every decade. Big effing deal, folks. May I tell you, once a year is fine once you catch up. There is still a cloggage in the cobra's neck. You understand what I'm saying here? There are people who should get it now. Now, the president of SFFWA, she's run for a 2nd term, she's been elected, Barbara Hamley, is a very fine woman, a very nice woman. I have the feeling she's afraid of the membership. Membership, why don't you speak up? Why don't you stop letting a couple of little ants who go out on the internet who aren't fit to carry the pencil case of Bob Sheckley or A.E. Van Vogt or Paul Anderson, why don't you stop them from keeping you from doing what's right? Speak up. Speak to your president. You've got people that are already inside in the membership and inside in the governing body, C.J. Cherry and George Zabrowski and Pam Sargent, people who want to do something about it. Help them get this pushed through so that you can do a gang awarding immediately. Don't wait another year. Do it now. Do it now. I have a couple of interesting things to show you very quickly because my time is going to run short and the producer's going to yell, "Hey, Harlan, you're running on too long again." I want to bring to your attention a brand new magazine. It's called Oz Story. In the first issue of this new Oz Story magazine, issue number 1, you will find wonderful things like The Dragon of Pumperdink by Ruth Plumley Thompson, who was the woman who took over writing the Oz books after L. Frank Baum died. Oz comic strips. It's got unpublished L. Frank Baum pieces and long-lost L. Frank Baum pieces. This one is called Sam Steele's Adventures on Land and Sea, or The Boy Fortune Hunters in Alaska. It's a wonderful magazine. We're going to flash the address where you can get this magazine. It's called Oz Story. Do not miss it. It is a wonder and a joy and a delight for those of you who love Oz, for those of you who like to read Oz stories to your kids, and for those of you who have never encountered Oz. It's a wonderful, wonderful magazine. Now I'm going to just do one more small thing, then I'll get out of here. This is my, you know I'm an elitist. I've told you that before. I thought you ought to know this. They did, recently, they did a poll. And these polls were done by Gallup, Lewis Harris, Stanford University, New York Times CBS poll, the Roper, the Harvard School of Public Health. Now get this. They took a poll of thousands and thousands of people, of Americans. They took this poll of thousands of them. 66% had never seen, heard, or read anything about the information superhighway. 65% had never heard of the World Cup 2 weeks before the event began in the U.S. 46% don't believe human beings developed from an earlier species of animals. 42% have little, if any, idea where Japan is. 41% don't know what a health maintenance organization, an HMO, is. 38% don't know what the term Holocaust refers to, but only 7% had never heard of the trial of Eric and Lyle Menendez. 6% of the men had never heard of frozen pizza. 2% had never heard of Lorena Babbitt, the woman who snipped off her husband's you-know-what. 2% had never heard anything at all about the O.J. Simpson case. That means 98% of Americans may not know what the Holocaust was or where Japan is, but they knew about the O.J. Simpson case. And only 1% had never heard of charges that Michael Jackson sexually molested a boy. 99% knew of this kind of mythology, but 38% don't know what the term Holocaust refers to. Now, when I talk about being an elitist and I say that, you know, most people are bone, stick, stone, stupid, am I really being a bad guy, or am I suggesting, wake up? It's time. Get up.
The horror film director whose bizarre murder befitted one of his movies. Next. Hey, for all you new viewers, now that we're on Friday nights, meet the staff. Get back to work, Dave. This staff constantly is scanning the worlds of science fiction, fantasy, and horror to find the best products, most interesting stories, sometimes bizarre stories like this one about the fascinating career and untimely death of director Al Adamson.
His body returned to its grave, but the brain was gone, living on in a madman's skull.
In the 60s and 70s, he was known as the king of drive-in movies. Director Al Adamson made films fast and cheap. But according to friend and film buff Eric Caden, Adamson always gave his audience more than their money's worth.
I think you could sort of say he was like a pioneer as far as the drive-in exploitation film goes. And, you know, they provided, you know, entertainment. That's what people wanted. You know, you weren't going to be to learn something or, you know, I don't know, get any kind of a message. I mean, that's not where you know, his films are not going to provide that. They're just strictly, you know, popcorn type, you know, entertainment.
Many of Al Adamson's pictures were horror films, soaked in blood and gore. So it was tragically ironic that last summer, Adamson met a violent and macabre death. In August, police discovered the director's body entombed in a whirlpool tub at his ranch home near Palm Springs. The tub had been covered with a new tile floor. Coroners determined that Adamson was killed by a blow to the head. A contractor hired by Adamson has been charged with murder. Here's what police surmise happened.
What I understand is that the contractor had stolen one of his credit cards and had been using it, and he rang up quite a large bill. And he was discovered, I guess, when the you know, the billing came at the end of the month, I guess. And he was confronted by Al, and apparently he panicked and just killed him.
Adamson's grisly death grabbed the attention of the media, but the director's fans hope he also will be remembered for his unique contribution to the movies. Of the nearly 40 films he made, Dracula vs. Frankenstein is probably the best known.
Did Frankenstein and I made some improvements.
Dracula vs. Frankenstein showcases Adamson's genre-busting style. It mixes together classic monsters with hippies, bikers, sex, and violence.
Each film of his you couldn't even classify as in a specific genre. I mean, it's even the Satan Sadist or any of the other films, there's going to be horror elements, there's going to be science fiction, there's going to be fantasy, there's going to be crime, there's going to be the biker type of film. It's just a lot of different elements all put into one.
The film also exhibits another Al Adamson trademark, the casting of fading B-movie stars whom the director admired. In this case, it's horror legends Lon Chaney Jr. and J. Carrol Naish. Chaney, who is dying of throat cancer, played his part mute, and Naish delivered his performance from a wheelchair.
He would always be able to find a role for some of his favorite actors and actresses from the classic films, you know, from the old days, 30s and 40s, and if he could locate him, he'd always get him a job.
Joe Corey died, and a psychotic killer was born.
I can't believe it.
It's true. Joe's last days were spent as a hunted mad animal.
Adamson's first film was Psycho A Go-Go in 1965. The resourceful director later reworked the film with new scenes and released it as Fiend with the Electronic Brain. Later, Adamson reworked the film yet again with more new footage and retitled it Blood of Ghastly Horror.
He always managed to finish, his films. I mean, no matter how long it took. Sometimes it took a year or 2 years before he could do it. And a lot of times he'd put together like 2 or 3 movies and put them into one film.
Al Adamson's ultimate paste-up job was Horror of the Blood Monsters. He combined new color footage shot on a spaceship set with black and white footage from a Filipino monster movie. The black and white scenes, which take place on another planet, were tinted. He then added dialogue to explain that the planet's atmosphere was blue.
Stay where you are. Don't interfere with things you know nothing about.
Adamson's last major film was the Exorcist-inspired Nurse Sherry in 1978. When the bottom dropped out of the drive-in movie market, he moved into real estate. Then in recent years, he returned to his first love, directing. He was working on 2 UFO docudramas at the time of his death. Though Al Adamson's work is unknown to mainstream audiences, it's fondly remembered by those who like to get their thrills at the drive-in. Stand by to take the leap to LeapCon 95 after these glad tidings. It's been over 2 years since the time travel series Quantum Leap was abruptly canceled by NBC. And though the show may be gone, it's anything but forgotten.
We originally discovered all this fandom when we got on a computer service and discovered the Quantum Leap topics and all this wonderful world of Quantum Leap.
A select group of Quantum Leap fans from around the world leaped to Los Angeles this year for the 4th convention devoted to keeping the memory of the series alive. It appears Star Trek isn't the only worldwide sci-fi phenomenon to emerge from American TV.
When people say that there was a golden age of television and that's long past and you don't see any of it, we say, well, a couple years ago, it was Quantum Leap.
It's a kind of series that you can watch over and over, and it never gets old.
Though Quantum Leap suffered an untimely death in the eyes of fans, commonly called leapers, the show seems to be more popular than ever. That's because reruns of the series air daily on this very channel, as well as on outlets all over the planet. The show has become so revered overseas, a contingent from France flew in to lay the groundwork for a con on the continent.
We are planning to do one next year, and we're trying to get Scott to come and other guests, and that would really be terrific if we could have one.
Scott, of course, is Scott Bakula, the amiable actor who portrayed Sam Beckett, a brilliant physicist who leaped into everybody from Elvis Presley to Lee Harvey Oswald.
When you're shooting a series, you don't get to meet anybody, so you're working all the time. So it was always kind of a shock to get out into the world and know that people were watching the show actually, and not just Nielsen numbers. So it's great to meet the fans. Fans have always been great.
Hello, everyone.
While those associated with Quantum Leap have moved on to other projects, many remain loyal to the legions of viewers who've been touched by the show.
The cast and the crew and all the people involved have been really gracious with the fans. They sort of make us feel like we're family rather than, you know, looking in from the outside.
When asked what makes the show so special, some credit the
deep emotional impact,
while others say it's
seeing that one person can really make a difference.
But the most unanimous response is more along these lines.
I like both actors a lot. They're really terrific at what they do, and they're awfully cute.
$250 going once, going twice. All right.
So beloved are Scott Bakula and co-star Dean Stockwell that fans shelled out big bucks for signed pictures, posters, and anything else they could get their hands on at the con's charity auction.
I bought the towel that Scott wore when he was on Murphy Brown.
Uh-huh. And the winning bid, ma'am?
$3,500.
Yikes! With that kind of ardent devotion, it's no wonder Bakula and others see a leap to the big screen as a definite possibility.
I think events like this will help it go to the big screen. I see no reason for it not to go to the big screen. We could do a tremendous movie. I think the market is there for it, not only in this country but around the world now, and I think they would be foolish not to do it. So, you know, cross your fingers.
You know you can always contact us here at Sci-Fi Central 24 hours a day. Yes, around the clock. You join us here in Sci-Fi Central for Sci-Fi Buzz next week, Friday night, when the staff will say,
"What do you want on your pizza?"
We've got to get lives. See you next Friday.
The mysteries of aliens, the magic of Houdini, the miracles of angels. Now the real stories and events are explained in a thrilling original series, Mysteries, Magic, and Miracles, hosted by Patrick McNee. Coming up next.